I think we're doing okay, but okay isn't going to be good enough in the long term to go and get to where we want to get to. I think when we looked at the pre-season games and training sessions, we were really pleased where it was going. But it's a different competition is the league. You've got stronger teams, you've got a tempo, you've got fans in, crowds in. And from my perspective, when you look at the overall picture, is I think defensively we look really solid. I think we've limited the three teams to very few opportunities. Even against Hyderabad on Saturday night, he didn't have too many saves to make. They had shots from outside the box that were going over. So that was pleasing, or has been pleasing. Where we need to improve on is probably possession of the ball and creating more chances, and it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve for me. I'm still in the early stages of learning about the Indian Super League, about my players still, different environments. As I mentioned before, it's different playing in the Durant Cup to the ISL, and you have to have a different mentality. So I'm still learning about many things, and hopefully I'll keep improving. I'll learn from previous games, and we can then get the right balance between being defensively very strong and more creative with more chances, more shots on target, because that's how I want to play. And we've got players in the team that can do that. But I think just overall, we've probably not quite getting the balance right and what we're doing at this moment in time.
I think it's been pretty good so far. If you look at the number of goals that we've conceded, it's been good. We, like coach said, we've been solid defensively, and it's all thanks to the 4 or 5 players in front of me who are putting their body on the line most of the time and trying to prevent shots and attempts on goal, which makes my life easier. So I think it has been good. Obviously, I can do much better when you see the last game in that moment that I had. But other than that, I have been very happy with myself and my team's performance defensively, and hopefully we can continue this and have the consistency for the whole season.
Well, the reason why Javi didn't start the season, because he missed probably 3 to 4 weeks of pre-season, and he only trained going into the North East game probably for 4 or 5 days with the team, and it was far too much of a risk, and he missed so much game time that we couldn't afford to play him. And you saw him come off the bench and then start against Hyderabad. So certainly Javi is one of them players that can affect the game in many different ways, and the more time that he's in the team, I think we'll be a better player. But the first 3 games have been out of my control, really, because his fitness hasn't been great in terms of the injury that he picked up in the Durant Cup.
With having Sandesh in the backline, it has been very helpful, because obviously we've played maybe about 40-50 games together, and to have him there, it's much easier for me to pass my advice or some communication in the game, and he can do that when he has to communicate with the people in front. So it's been a good balance of having communication with him and also sorting everyone out, especially because when we had Roshan and now Prabir, who's an experienced player as well, they know that how I operate. Most of the times I will talk and tell them what to do, rather than making myself waiting to have a shot to save. So it's important to have that balance, which I am very grateful for.
All the games in the Durant Cup were there for us all to see. Fitness levels, different formations is a way of getting to know about opposition. But really, I learnt more about Odisha in the last 2-3 games when I watched them against Kerala, I think it was, and then the other games that they've played, Jamshedpur and Mumbai as well. So I've learnt more from that, because the Durant Cup was a pre-season tournament, but this is where it matters, as I mentioned. So we picked up a lot of things, and the one thing that you do pick up from the Durant Cup is that they're a good team. They've got some good players. The coach has transformed them from last year. They've got some threats. But again, we're very respectful of them, of what we need to do to make sure that we limit them to few opportunities. But like any team, they'll have some weaknesses that we need to exploit with the players that we'll have in our team. It's not easy. Even though the flights have only been, 45 minutes to an hour, the previous 2, obviously going to Odisha is going to be a lot longer, but it's never easy, because before you know it, you've sort of played one game, you're doing a recovery session, you're on a flight home, you have the next day either in training or you're off, and then a couple of days training again, back on a flight. It's been a bit like Groundhog Day, but it's never easy. We'd love to have had another home game in this period because of being back here with our own supporters after the first win of the season, but you dealt with what you dealt with and we move on. And once we get this out the way, then we come back a week on Friday, don't we, against East Bengal, and we can't wait to get back here, but we want to go and win regardless if we're home or away, and that's our mentality of what we need to try and do. And go back to the Saturday's game against Hyderabad, we were in the game for large parts, and we would have taken a point on Saturday away from home against one, if not the best team in the division. My thoughts, but yeah, it's never easy, but it's football, you get on with it. Yeah, look, I think he typifies a young player, that he does some good things and then he does some things that he still needs to improve on. I think he was an unknown player going into the Durrant Cup, and all of a sudden the focus came onto him, and he started well in the North East game. So he's had glimpses in all the games where he looks like he can score goals. He's like any forward, you have to improve your all-round game. You can't just be reliant on scoring goals or running, using your pace. You want to make sure that you can link up play. Can you add other qualities to your game? Because if you can do that, and you've got a natural goal-scoring ability and a pace that he's got, he could be a top striker. But he's still got to work hard, and we're working with him to help him improve. And that's part of our job, to develop all the players, whether it's the goalkeeping coach working with Gurpreet. As coaches, we've got to make sure we improve all the players.